Welcome to the show.
Inspire
I'm your host,
Campfire,
Scott Wurzbacher, and today we're heading into the warm ocean waters of Hawaii for a life-changing experience. Imagine swimming at night with manta rays, some with wingspans reaching 12 to 14 feet, gliding silently just beneath the surface. It's a moment that can feel both humbling and deeply moving. Our guest today is Martina Wing, founder of Manta Ray Advocates in Kona, Hawaii. Years ago, Martina had a powerful personal encounter with manta rays that redirected her life. She packed up, moved to Hawaii, and built a business centered on protecting these animals while sharing a safe, ethical, and intimate manta ray ocean experience with others. Martina's story is about following a calling and creating something meaningful, both for people and for the natural world. I am so excited to share her journey with you today. Martina, aloha. Welcome to the campfire.
Thank you for having me, and aloha.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So you and I got a chance to talk last week as just kind of a pre-call before we did this episode. And I don't know if I got a chance to share with you, but Hawaii, there's so many beautiful places around the world. And I've gotten an opportunity to travel to a lot of different places and seen some beautiful, beautiful things. But Hawaii always stands above every place. Like Hawaii is my happy place. And I'm so envious that you get to call it home.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is really a destination where people feel like this is special in my life. You know, it's a travel, it's a far travel. Doesn't matter where you come from. We are the most isolated chain of islands. We sit in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, several hours to get here from anywhere you come from. So it's a special travel. And I think most people are really blown away about the beauty. And every island is different. And I live on the largest island, and the nickname is Big Island.
Yeah.
But its official name is called Hawaii Island. So it's Hawaiian Islands all together, but I specifically live on the Hawaii Island, on that of the west coast, and that's Kailua Kona, in short, Kona. And it's a sunny side of the island, and lots of ocean recreation happening here. That's what I fell in love with.
Yeah, it's amazing. Martina, you don't speak with a native Hawaiian dialect.
No, I have a German accent. I immigrated from Germany, and I now have my 29th year here in Hawaii, but I immigrated in 2001 and then citizenship in 2014. I tried to get rid of I never tried to get rid of my accent. I'm not very talented with language, but I can really make a point. I have the English. But I don't know, I would go to teaching lessons or class to lose it, I guess.
Yeah, you speak manta ray, and that's what's important.
Very true.
Human language doesn't matter at this point. But I'm so excited. And, you know, you live in my happy place. We're fellow Germans. You know, obviously my last name, Wurzbacher, we've got that connection. Mm-hmm. But here we go. Tell us, for listeners, you've created this amazing business called Manta Ray Advocates. For those that aren't familiar, can you just kind of give us a broad brush overview, and then we'll get into the details. But what is Manta Ray Advocates?
Yeah, so if you travel to the islands or any kind of tropic destination, I guess, you would hope to go on a tour and find an operator that does tours maybe on the ocean or land-based. And here on the Kona side, we have the strongest ocean recreation industry, and it's a variety. You can go daytime snorkeling or daytime diving, or just go whale watching. There's all kinds of different small companies that offer tours. Mm-hmm. And many years ago, over 3 decades ago, small business started to go out at night because manta rays feed on plankton, and plankton is attracted to light. So if you set up lights at night in the ocean, plankton is drawn to that area, and it's a plankton-rich environment that's created. And one of the operators here in town that had a boat took divers out and started doing regular tours at night, diving with the manta rays. And that was back in the late 80s, beginning of the 90s. And over the years, this industry, it's such a special event to be with the manta rays in the ocean. And they're harmless creatures. So that has expanded as an industry more and more. And this coastline now has instead of just one location where people can see the manta rays, we have 3 established viewing areas and 60 companies offering the tour. So it's really kind of an explosion because people have the means now over the last few decades travel is important to people. And then destinations, Hawaii is a special destination anyway. And then they want to experience things. And then for Manta Ray Advocates, to specific there, I should go to my origin story, how I maybe ended up here. I was a customer to experience the Manta Rays back in 1998. And there was one particular guy filming me, and I bought the video from him. It's a VHS tape. So I make myself really old, but that's okay. But it was about an experience of a lifetime. It really is. And then you get the video from your custom video of your night. And there was a guy on the boat selling those. And the short story here is that I bought the video from the guy because I wanted to relive these moments. And I bought the video and then I married the guy. So yeah, that's really a short version of this.
Video and I married the guy.
Yeah. And of course, the running joke is, it's not only marrying the guy, a green card, have the opportunity to live in this country and build on that. I mean, what do you call that? American dream, have the opportunity.
Well, this is turning out to be a love story.
I guess, So, yeah, I fell in love with two things, literally, Manta Rays and the guy, right? But he was already filming the Manta Rays. So he had his small business. And then I joined him in filming. And so we were two camera people literally every night out at in locations to film the Manta Rays. And back then, production company, and we were called Ocean Wings Hawaii. And of course, it's a play with our name. My last name is Wing, Ocean Wings Hawaii. Yeah. Swim with Manta Rays. Fun. It was really fun to come up with this name too. But what is Manta Ray Advocates now? Because it's literally, I always want to speak for the animals. It's always been, I'm an environmental engineer. I went to school. And always look through the lens, sustainability and the environment, and I want to do it. In Hawaii, you say Kona, do it right. So eventually, when I said earlier, we have now 60 companies on the coastline, the explosion of operators, meaning more people were there, more participants, more scuba divers, more snorkelers then too. And so we pivot, and instead of doing only photography, that business died because of GoPros and social media, and people were doing their own thing, right? So we were professional photographers. I was for 17 years and he for 24 years. And then the pivot came to speak more for the animal and then have a branding to it, Manta Ray Advocates. And with that, we actually my husband set up the third location here on the coastline, where we now the operators. So I used to be just a camera person on the boats. 59 companies have boats to go to sites, and we have this incredible setup. It's a very beautiful hotel that also have a Manta Ray population close to the shore, and we operate from that beach, so I don't need a boat to get to the animal. So I have beach entry. And that's unique on a volcanic island. You've been to the Big Island, right?
Yes, I have.
Entry to the ocean is really limited.
Yeah.
And so if you go onto the ocean, you do a tour on a boat, or you have only 5 or 6 locations along the coast, where even there you have to be careful to go in because it could be volcanic rock. But we have we're really fortunate, and we work for it to have this connection to the hotel that has this beach, and on top of that, the Manta Ray population that roams that coastline. And so, Manta Ray Advocates is a tour operator, but with a heavy emphasis on sustainability, small group approach, highly educational. And as a German, as also a joke, but I mean, as a German, I'm a real record keeper. I have so much knowledge about the animals too, because they all have names, they have personality, there's a lifespan. We know certain Manta Rays for the whole time since I'm here. They live a long time. So I pack it up with a lot of goodies to do the tour.
Yeah, and I think as we talk throughout this conversation, listeners are going to start to learn that there's so much more to your story and to what you all provide. It is this deep connection to the manta rays, not just this experience that people can have on the island. I mean, I think people can really engage with this, whether they come to see you in Hawaii or not, although that's obviously the ideal. Who doesn't want to go to Hawaii? And yes, your website's really fun. I was scrolling yesterday. It's almost like a yearbook of manta rays. There's photographs and descriptions of all of them with their names. And that was really, really cool. I enjoyed that. So could you walk us through just kind of the basics? If somebody comes on a tour with you all at Manta Ray Advocates in Kona, what is that experience like?
In general, I recommend for anybody who goes into the ocean, there are prerequisites for us, only want to take people out into the ocean day or night that know how to swim. It's the Pacific Ocean. It's the biggest body of water.
Yes.
It's a lot of water around us. So, but it is, because when you have an industry exploding and more participants come to it, then the skill set is also lowered because more people want to come, right?
Yeah.
And I always caution people in the sense of like, you need to know how to swim if you go into the ocean or in a pool. I mean, you should be skilled for that. And then we do snorkeling. So I used to be on scuba for 17 years as a cameraman person, but our tours is snorkeling only.
Okay.
And so when we meet, we do small group approach of 6. So we would meet at the beach as a beach shack. That's our little headquarters for that night. And we meet around sunset because the actual tour can only take place if the sky is dark or the sun is gone and the ocean is completely dark. And it has to do with the plankton needs to gather around lights. And then we brief the guests. We do extensive review of the equipment we use. While people must be able to snorkel or have snorkeled before. It's not a beginner tour. We always want to make sure we know how to use a snorkel and a mask so they can fix their own problems in the water. So much more enjoyment comes out if you really know what you're doing for those skills. Then we do manta education. And then the actual tour in water is with the manta rays is about 30, 40 minutes. And we literally walk from a beach into the dark ocean. And that sounds like only crazy people do that, I guess.
I mean, call me crazy because I want to do it. I will too, by the way. I'll be there. I'm going to get there.
The guides will always have very high-powered light because we need to show the way. It's not like, your initial thought is like, what did I sign up for when you walk in, right? Yeah. But you're so well briefed beforehand where I'm an encourager at heart. I'm like, trust the process. You have the prerequisites. You know how to swim and snorkel. You will be fine. We also use swim vests, so drowning is out of the equation for the guests. Just it's like you can see how their faces change. It like, okay, everything will be fine.
There we go. Okay,
everything will be fine. But when you walk in the beach that is just located, then gradually going deeper, and you go to waist deep water, put the fins on, the mask is already on, and then we swim a really short distance. That's usually 50 yards. And there's an area that's called Manta Point, and the hotel has installed for many, many years. The hotel is 60 years old. They have an anniversary this year. And this light is on. I meet guests that have been there as kids, and they're maybe our age now. So for 40, 50 years, this area has a light shining on the ocean. And the idea was only to make it pretty for the guests to see the ocean at night. But the consequence is when you have a light in the ocean, actually, it doesn't matter if it's in the ocean or underwater, surface, or from the shoreline. If plankton is rich in that area at that time, it accumulates around the lights. It wants to photosynthesize. And that's the whole trick of this tour. We are tricking the plankton to think the light is the sun. That's what it does during the day to photosynthesize. It needs the sun to photosynthesize. And I bring my guests to this area. We stay in a respectful distance. And the manta rays could be 1, 2, 3. We have up to 7 is the most we've seen in this bay. And they just feed on the plankton. So they have a really nice dinner, and we have a show of our life. Knowing the animals so well, and all of this is classical conditioning, some of the manta rays have a real trust to come close to the light that the guide holds. So I have this really bright light with me where I shine the way for the people, but when we get to the lit up area, my light is then added to this. But the manta rays know where the light is, and then with it's a bright light, that's the plankton. That's where plankton is in abundance. And so for the guests that join us, 80% of the time, the manta ray that is there knows to come close to our group with that. So you can have the manta rays inches away from you because they feed on the plankton that is right in front of my light. I'm holding the light in front of me. And sizes are between 4 to 5 feet, up to 8 to 9 feet in our particular bay. And in your introduction, you already said correctly, females can be up to 12 to 14 feet. We don't get the really big ones, but it doesn't matter. If you have a 4-foot manta ray in front of you, you already think that's
still big.
Big fish. It's a big fish, Yeah, they come really close. We stay in passive interaction. We don't touch them. We don't free dive down and interfere what they're trying to do. And it works out really well for the manta rays, for our guests. And of course, then we say the plankton loses, but plankton loses because it gets eaten.
Hey everyone, it's Scott here. Did you know that the members of my real estate team, W Realty Group, are listening to their own voices that call to adventure by setting big goals? Some of those goals include planning trips to Bali and the Kingdom of Bhutan, buying investment homes, and running the Chicago Marathon. At W Realty Group, we support and encourage these big goals and want to help turn them into reality. We're currently looking to add new members to the team. If you know a great real estate agent in the Charlotte, North Carolina area that would benefit from being part of our team, please send a text, an email, or give me a call. And know that when you support W Realty Group, you're also supporting this podcast. Thanks for listening.
A couple things, like, first of all, like what I love about this is not a controlled environment. This is the wild ocean, and you're going to them in their environment. This is not something that's protected or controlled, which is so cool. But what I want to get into is this idea, because you shared with me, and people can read about this on your website, that this experience is an emotional experience, and that you've had guests, like, commonly come out of the water and tell you that it was like this life-changing, emotional, just really deep connective experience. And, you know, I mean, a lot of times when we see animals in the wild, there's a moment of awe, but this is described as a much deeper experience. And so I really want to get into that. But I think before we touch on that, as from your guest's standpoint, this happened because you went through this deep personal experience with manta rays. So I wonder if we could kind of go back to the beginning and talk about how all of this started for you.
In 1998, I was 28, 29. It was turned into a really sad chapter of my life. And, you know, I think of life as a journey, and the good chapters and the sad chapters and all the different chapters of your life in this journey. And that was definitely sad. I had lost at 29 my husband to leukemia. So at 29, I was a young widow. Yeah. And I'm always positive. In the sense of, like, I didn't expect it to happen. You know, it's like there's a lot of people that lose family or really close people young in age, you know. And I think because I didn't expect it, was like an accident for me. Like someone has an accident, it's the same thing. It's a sudden thing. And I never expected it to happen. So I was not prepared to lose him. I thought we're going to get through it. And we went all the way to the transplant, you know, and he was in the hospital to have a new life, but it didn't happen. And that was in 1997. And I was in the middle of finishing school for engineering. And so I did finish that. And it was the end of 1997. And the state of mind that you're in, it's just all sad. It's deep grief. Yeah. You're trying to figure out life. It's really hard to go home because he's not there anymore. And so it rattles really everything of what you believed in or how you felt safe in your life. Yeah. And my decision was, then I think in the fall, I made the decision to travel. It's always a good idea to get out of the normal environment. And the travel was 4 weeks Canada. I went to British Columbia up to have family. I was like minus 32 Celsius, which is like, I don't know how much it is in Fahrenheit. Really cold weather. And then I topped it off with 4 weeks Hawaii.
There you go.
Yeah. Hawaii drew me because there was a volunteer program for 2 weeks on the island of Oahu. Mm-hmm. It was about dolphins. And so I helped as a volunteer for 2 weeks. And then I said, I'm going to travel to other islands. And I ended up here in Kona. And I did some day diving. And everybody on the boat said, and I only had a really basic scuba diving. It's called open water scuba diving certificate. Yeah. And I had not used that for 8 years. I just got certified in 91. It was 98, 7 years later. So total beginner. But people helped me out and I refreshed my skills and I did some day diving. And everybody on the boat said, you have to do the manta ray experience. I'm like, okay, what is a manta ray? I had no idea. I mean, you saw pictures like the one on the back here. Yeah. It's a beautiful picture, but no concept of what the animal is. Yeah. Least of that, I didn't even know the translation to German, right? My English was much different back then. And I'm like, okay, let me sign up, right? And funny enough, you know, the first night I didn't see manta rays because it's not a given to see manta rays. But I wanted to try again. And the next time I saw 6 manta rays and I was on scuba diving. And back then it was almost 99% of the people were scuba diving. And the idea there is that you sit on the bottom of the ocean about 25, 30 feet of depth, and you have a dive light. As a scuba diver, you always have a light when you night dive. And then you keep your light above your head, And so that plankton actually accumulates right around your head. And there maybe were 20, 30 people on the water. And so you create this really cool campfire. Like everybody's
an underwater campfire. I love it.
Yeah. And then the lights go up and then the bubbles come from the divers. So in itself, it's already out of this world, kind of surreal. Yeah. And then you're still a really beginner diver and you're just like, how do I survive this? Make sure you keep your regulator in your mouth. So exciting. I mean, the heart was beating. And then the manta rays come in. Back at this location, they are the big ones. And the largest female we see since then is Big Bertha. It's really her name, Big Bertha. Known since 1992 on the coastline. Still seen 50 times a year. So 34 years later, she's still manta ray that roams this coastline. And because I had all the plankton around my head, so the manta ray was actually going right over my head. Like, I mean, you have this 10-foot, 12-foot manta ray. Yeah. And you sit down there and you're just like, what is going on here? Like, it was really, really impressive. And then you come back on the boat and you're just like, what just happened to me, right? And on that night, I was filmed and I saw and I could relive these moments through the video. And I wanted to explore over and over again what's happening here. And for me, I mean, I continued then met Jim and my husband James and all that story. But all these years, my guests on the boats, my guests at the snorkel tour, I always wanted to know what is happening to us emotionally. And I could not put it into words. I just felt it so much, right? And, there is Brene Brown. I hope most listeners of yours are familiar with Brene Brown. And she, you go on social and you flip through I found an interview with her where she was on a book tour for her book called The Atlas of the Heart. Mm-hmm. And it's about learning especially as an adult. I come from a generation that didn't learn how to really pronounce or say what emotion do I feel right now. And there's this conversation. And the last question is, so what is making this, as emotions, we have, let's say 80 emotions, a range from sad to happy or whatever.
Yeah.
What makes this human experience bring us forward? What elevates us as humans? And then Brene Brown said, awe and wonder. And I sat back in my chair and I'm like, I guess that's what I experienced back then. And that's what every other person experiences too, being in the presence of a manta ray. And think of a 10-foot manta ray. It looks like an angel-like creature. It glides through the water, not to confuse with the stingray, an eagle ray. It is the manta ray. They have no teeth, no stinger, no barb. They feed on plankton exclusively. So from the start, I knew before I went into the water, it's a harmless creature, but the environment is just so out of your normal routine, right? And then when I talk about the emotional journey, from being intimidated beforehand and still trusting the process, then looking at all the stuff, still in an environment where you have to make sure you follow the rules, keep your regulator in your mouth, keep breathing, or know how to snorkel. And then when people come out of the water, they went through that emotional journey and they felt awe and wonder. And it's one of my favorite things to talk about because it just shows us as humans, the whole range is possible. We don't have to stay stuck. And that, I was stuck back then. I mean, grief really has a hold on you. And then I worked through it took me several years. It's not like you snap out of it. But they gave me an out, the manta rays, and I felt like there's more to life, and I believe that was definitely the main motivator for me to say, I let go of Germany and its adventure, like you described, its adventure life, fall in love and continue and try to stay connected to this American man in Hawaii. Different countries, everything was different, right? But I said, I want to go on that path. And 30 years later, I just held on to that. I wanted to live this life because I wanted to bring more people to this place and experience this and then question them, what do you want to do with that? Can you develop yourself further and understand the range of emotions and the journey and good stops or good sad chapters, good chapters in your life and everything, what can we do with it?
I love this so much and I really connect to it. So when I first created this podcast almost 5 years ago, one of the questions that I used to ask every guest, and I've kind of slowed down on it, but I used to ask everybody about the word awe because it's one of my favorite words.
And there's a definition that I found from, I think it's Google Languages or Oxford Languages. And that definition is a reverential respect mixed with fear and wonder. And I love that. And you just enunciated that so well and clearly. And I love how like you said that you weren't able to describe it, but you knew you felt it. And then, I guess it became clear over time that it was that feeling of awe that was what grabbed you. It's amazing. I'm curious about like the connection with the animals. I wonder if you can kind of talk about that a little bit, like the connection that you feel specifically with each animal.
Yeah. So when we look at manta rays at the underside, by the way, this is the mouth in the front. So when I talk about feeding, the manta ray is a filter feeder. They always move forward. So when there's plankton in abundance, they open their mouth and I just swim through it, right? And so that's the top. Bottom. These are called symbolic fins to help funnel the water into their mouth with the food. The eyes, just a little off. The eyes are actually more over here. There's a tail, but again, no stinger, no teeth, no barb, pectoral fin, dorsal fin. And then these are the gill slits. And when we identify manta rays, you maybe have heard about the humpback whales. The tail is an identifier.
Okay.
They have numbers or names.
Yeah.
The whale, the fluke. Yeah. It's clear when the humpback whale goes down, you can see the fluke and then you can see the pattern. For manta rays, we look at the spot pattern that sits between the gill slits. And then when you dive with them, back then I was diving all the time, you film them too. I filmed them too, right? So I also had the opportunity back home when I was editing the videos to see which manta ray was actually at the site. And me being so German, I did then statistics on it, right? But when you're a camera person and you're trying to we were trying to tell, my husband sold me the video of my custom video of my dive. And then I joined him to do the same thing. So we just had more customers and 2 cameras out every night. And when you film as a camera person, the animal has to work with you. It sounds weird because I'm working with a fish. But if you, for example, knew that Sugar Ray was there and I could identify him by his markings, I'm like, Sugar Ray comes close to the divers, I can get my shot with the video. But manta rays flying over the people's head versus a brand new manta ray, let's say Nick Ray. He was very shy at the beginning. He only stayed on the outskirts. So if he would be the only manta ray, I could not get the video that I usually get. And so I dove deeper and deeper into it to learn which animal can do and work with me. It's all work with me in quotes because the fish just wants the food. And so, I dove deeper and deeper into learning the animal, identifying the manta rays. I named a lot of manta rays over the years. There's an unwritten rule around the world that if you see them first and you take the picture of the underside, you can submit it to the database. And so over the years, our team named 60 manta rays. And then my buddies, I'd seen them grow up. And so that's why my connection, and I know so much about each animal when they were identified, and if I identified him or someone else on the coastline. We actually have also different species of manta rays. This is the reef manta, the ones we see on the snorkels. And then there's a pelagic manta ray. There's all these little distinctions. And the pelagic manta ray would never come to the sites. They are the ones that roam the big ocean. They're actually up to 22 to 25 feet in wingspan, where the reef mantas go up to 14 feet. Yeah, and for me, it was really important to know the animal. It made my life a little easier as a camera person. And that's why my website has this library of manta rays with pictures and identification marks and all the stories, injuries, keep track of injuries and how it heals. Yeah, I love that.
These creatures are massive, and there is this, but you said they're harmless creatures, and so when you're in the water with them, it's just this sort of like relationship that you have with them as they're swimming around you. And it kind of makes me like, this maybe goes to like a spiritual level, but when we think about like human consciousness and we wonder like if we're alone on this planet, right? And I just wonder if you have any thoughts on like your experience of them and, is there a consciousness there?
Yeah. So in my work, I always try to push the grounded version as like the manta ray does come close to me. But I have other camera people over the years, or my other swim guides with the bright light. The manta rays go towards the bright light. So nothing is about me. It's about the animal getting a nice dinner. And we humans get this experience.
Yeah.
But I do think the manta rays, it's classical conditioning. It's the Pavlov effect. The fish population on the Kona coast have been conditioned to understand light means food. Not only that, it is a safe place to be around whoever floats on the surface as a snorkeler and the diver on the bottom. Hence, we have these passive interaction rules. We don't interfere with what they're trying to do, and then it can work for everybody. But I also have a really I'm very calm around the animal because they're just so beautiful. And I know them so well. And I want to spread that into my guests. I know the emotional state is all over the place, but, I hold people's hand when they're at the beginning a little bit more nervous. But so many times people say too, as soon as I put my face down, everything changed, And I truly believe people can experience that during the daytime snorkeling too, or daytime diving. Just this manta thing, this experience with the manta rays, everything is spiced up because it's at night. Again, who goes into the ocean at night? And when we brief the guests on the size of the animal, and I always watch the people's faces so I can prepare myself as a guide who I can help the most. You can read people's faces when you say, some manta rays get up to 10 to 12 to 14 feet. You see faces go like, what? And I'm like, but we have 7 to 8 feet, I said. And then they smooth a little bit, But there's a real surprise factor because people think it's a stingray that maybe is up to 6 feet. An eagle ray is maybe 5 feet, or they saw in an aquarium maybe another different kind of ray. And so there are different rays in different sizes, But we are in the presence of the largest rays of all, which is the manta ray. So I hope this answers you. I'm trying not to go too spiritual. I try to do the grounded version because I really want people to reconnect to the real nature and not I call it Moana effect, the Moana movie or the Nemo. Was it Nemo, right? Was the movie? The clownfish. I watched it once. For me, it's like I'm in the real world all the time. Yeah. And I want people to come back to the real world. Yeah. Versus what the movies tell you what the animals feel, think, or whatever, So I always try to go that route.
I love it. So in your journey, you had this personal experience, you were videoed, you fell in love, and you decided this is what you're going to do. And I wonder if you could just can you just very briefly take us through how you got from you've been doing this now for 30 years. What was what happened over the next 30 years that helped you develop into this amazing business, Manta Ray Advocates?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do anything like following your dream, I guess that's what I did. It can turn into a nightmare too, right? I've seen that because people here on the coastline, these small boat operators, I've seen a lot of people trying to live this dream, being on the ocean every day, but then real life catches up where, for example, a small business, you need to know how to run a small business in an actually competitive environment. And when I put my business cap on for a second, it's like we have limited resources on everything. We are on an island in the Pacific Ocean. One of the hardest things is that you find good workforce, which is everywhere the same. But if you have limited folks on the island and working in that industry, if someone is a good worker, that really stands out. And people come and go. It's a transient workforce. So what that meant for me is, and my husband, for pretty much 25 years of the 29 years I'm here, 18-hour days, always going for the small business, doing the tours. At the beginning, I was doing daytime scuba diving, and then my husband was night diving. Eventually, we're both night diving. And that's a lot of diving, the physical strain just on your body. And that's why we let go of scuba after so many years and only snorkel. But I'm out at night. My real work starts at 6 p.m. out until midnight. I have to drive 40 minutes to work to get to this location. So you really have to dedicate yourself to the work and build a small business. Then health obstacles were in between. I was twice breast cancer survivor, twice it hit me, got through it too, And these are the obstacles you just have to overcome, and everybody has to overcome them. But if you have that gut instinct at the very beginning of my career here, doing this with the manta rays, I was holding on tight that is the work I'm supposed to do on this planet. It was, I guess it's a gut feeling, an instinct, but it's purpose-driven. I knew this is my purpose, to talk about manta rays, protect them, bring more people to it, educate about them. And so eventually I could really say to myself, it's purpose-driven, keep going, it's going to work out okay. And, the last 4 years, it worked out okay because post-COVID, I guess it's now 6 years, the business has been thriving. First, we were always month to month trying to pay the bills. And that was a real pivot because we just increased our participant numbers. A few things shifted. And I have a really nice team of 8 women that work with me. My husband retired. He's a little older than me. And then, so now if you think business, it's a little machine that makes a good living.
Yeah.
It is a seasonal business. And we are recording this about 2 weeks post our big storms here in Hawaii, right? So I'm nature-based, and nature does what it wants. So there is now there was a phase of 2 weeks we couldn't work, right? And then you just stay home, and then there's no income. So you have to, when you're a seasonal business, you have to make sure money is put away. So your 8 employees get paid, even that we don't do tours, but we have administrative workers. There's a lot of things that you as a business person have to put in the right spaces to make it work.
Hey everyone, it's Scott here. This podcast is a passion project for me because I absolutely love adventure. And it's thanks to the effort of my residential real estate team here in Charlotte, North Carolina, that many of you know as the W Realty Group, that this podcast gets funded. This awesome group of people have unmatched levels of competence and caring for our clients. If you know of anyone looking to buy or sell a home, our team serves the Charlotte, North Carolina market, but we can also help you find an agent anywhere throughout the US or Canada through our highly connected network. When you support our real estate business, you are also supporting this podcast. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your referrals.
Yeah, it makes great sense. But I think when you're purpose-led, that's what kind of keeps you going. And I want to touch on that because you said, I knew this was my purpose. And I did, like, for me and for those listening, like, can you elaborate on that? Like, how did you know? What did you feel inside your body? How is it that you're able to say that so confidently?
Yeah, I think because the Manta Rays rattled, I guess it's not the right word, right? It shook me up.
Yeah.
I was 9 months after losing my first husband. The sadness, I always can say about grief, the first year probably is 20 hours of sadness, and you maybe sleep a little bit. And eventually it goes to 19 hours or 17 hours of only sadness, and then there's a shift eventually. But this is emotional work to work through your grief. It is literally work. So if you go someplace and you make a living, your body has to work through the emotional shock that comes with that. It comes with death to a person that is so close to you and you build your life with. And so when I saw the Manta Rays, and it was this little light at the end of the tunnel, when you're in this grief tunnel, and I knew Manta Rays will help me. I knew that at that point already, at the very beginning. And I continued to be in the presence of them so much. And more healing came to me through the years. And I wish that for everybody else too. But I'm just a good example of holding on to that. I knew that that's the end of the tunnel. I wanted to keep going into that direction. And today I can say it's purpose-driven. And I maybe didn't say that the first 5 years because I was still working through my grief. I think it took me 3 or 4 years to work through the grief and then building a new relationship with another man, right? I mean, it is another big emotional journey. And to put it all in place and that you feel good about yourself, all goes with it. Yeah, it's a journey for sure.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm curious, like, for those listening that want that feeling of like, I know what my purpose is, what advice would you have for them, having been through this yourself?
I was back in Germany already not shy to have my own business. And that really played a role in my journey, because if I say I worked 18 hours a day, but I worked for myself and I could feed all I'd done into this adventure small business on a remote island in a competitive environment. I mean, how many obstacles we had there. And so when you ask me what for the listener is like, there's maybe the aspect of, if you really feel like this is my purpose to do certain things, also develop skills to make a living with it, because then it fits better together. I mean, you have to pay a mortgage or you have to pay the rent and you have to do all of this. It's really hard to put that on parallel tracks. But for the longest part, it was for us on parallel tracks because, yes, I was with the manta rays all the time, and it fed me to keep going. But there were many situations where we were like, can we continue this? You know, we were working months to months, you know, paying the bills. What do you call it? Months to month. Living,
you're right. I understand.
I mean, for my husband, it was almost 29 years of following his vision to live a life like we do. You know, there's a lifestyle to it. I mean, I don't have children. It's another decision that people have to make. I just couldn't put children into the world where I was just trying to figure out in my 30s, where do I go, right? And I feel children need a chance. And I was all by myself, family in Germany. So a lot of decision making, but actually that was an easy decision because it was just, I was trying to be as much as I can with the manta rays and build the business around it and bring this beautiful experience to the people. And first as a camera person, sending people home with their videos. And then later, the last 10 years, be the actual operator and the guide to show them the manta rays. And it's beautiful stories that we get all the time from the guests.
Martina, when you entered university to study engineering, could you ever imagined in your wildest dreams that all this time later you'd be making a career out of swimming with manta rays?
Zero. But there was a funny moment. My specialty was chemical engineering, or I don't have the real translation. If there's a German listener, it's Verfahrenstechnik. It's about the process or system engineering. It was chemistry. And there was 3 things that the professors were saying you can go into 3 different directions. So better air for the environment, or waste, take care of waste and how it doesn't affect the environment so much, or something with water. And I said that, I remember that back then in my 20s, I'm like, I think I want to do something with water.
Nice.
And then awesome. Years later, you're in Hawaii and you're like, yeah, I definitely do something.
Yeah, it's all connected. So one thing that's so cool about this 30-year career that you've had, and I know we're running out of time here, but I don't want to end this episode without touching on a couple of cool things that you've got to experience in this 30 years. So when you first got to Hawaii, you spent a lot of time filming underwater before you were really running the Manta Ray Advocates. And you were telling me on the phone how you've kind of accumulated this whole library of footage of things that you've been able to take that 30-year library of footage and create some really cool things. So I wonder if I just can ask you about a couple of them. And we can do this quick, and I'm going to encourage listeners to go to your website, Manta Ray Advocates, to check out some of these additional things that you've provided. But the first one is this incredible video that you had that's gone viral about a dolphin rescue. And this, because this speaks to this connection that we have with animals, could you just kind of give us a quick overview of what happened in that video?
Yeah, it was 2013, a scuba dive. The guests were from the different boats at this location. I was the cameraman, a woman at this, what I always did for all these years. And on this particular night, we have, 40 divers underwater, a bunch of snorkelers on top. And I got the attention, when you talk to each other on scuba, you actually bang your tank, you're trying to get someone's attention. And I heard that banging. And I looked up and I was filming a manta ray, with 12 manta rays that night. And I see this bottlenose dolphin coming to my view. It's a dark ocean, right? Just the area is illuminated with where the people are. And this dolphin had fishing line wrapped around his pectoral fin right here, all the way to his mouth. And I didn't know that at that point. But it was so unusual to have a single bottlenose dolphin. We never have dolphins. I take that back. We had some dolphins prior to it, but in a group of 3 only. But this particular dolphin was by itself and swimming around, going up to the snorkelers, going back down. And my job was filming. So I was on it from the moment I saw it. And it turned out that he ended up, so it was a male dolphin. His nickname or his name is Notch. He has really a notch in the back of his peduncle. And he ended up with another dive master who was also very experienced and who saw then the fishing line. And I kept filming, and the dolphin actually held still for the diver to rescue him. And that sounds like really out of, like, you making this up. I really want to encourage everybody to watch the video.
Yes.
But because you really can see that the dolphin said, I need this out of my pectoral fin. And the rescue was successful. And I was underwater. I knew exactly that this is out of the world footage. I say out of the world. It's our world, but it's so special to record that. now I'm very skilled over the years. Now there was no shake. And the way, on scuba, you really have to make sure you don't kick people in the head at the wall around you and all that stuff, all the things happening. But my lights from the camera setup were illuminating so the rescue diver could actually do the work. So it was a great collaboration of two really experienced people at the site. And I went back home. I went back on the boat, actually, and I was out of my mind. I was just talking the whole time to people. And I met someone afterwards who was saying he thought I was crazy. But I was not crazy. I knew this was spectacular. I went home. I didn't have any social media presence or knowledge, and I put it on YouTube. And within 5 days, CBS called me, CNN. I was on BBC Breakfast TV. A bunch of production companies over the years bought it. It went to Brazil, France, all kinds of. It was really special to be the camera person of a really unusual animal encounter and rescue. And the story is really, we can do the right thing. We can help the animals. We need to help the animals. And since then, there's so many rescue videos online. And I always think it's the right thing to do. We need to share this planet with other creatures. And this dolphin rescue was it's really, over 100 million views on
it's incredible. I watched it last night, and if listeners get one thing out of this episode, like go to Martina's website and watch this video. It's incredibly moving. And it's exactly what you said. It's so cool. It's this animal from another species that just shows up and says, like, please help me, and is vulnerable enough to just stay present right there so that animal can receive the help. He didn't like jerk away or try to get away, or just, he stayed right there. And it was, such an amazing video. So thank you so much. And it comes back to some of the questions that I was asking about, like this connection that we have with animals. Like that was just when my dog has something wrong and I need to pick something out of his fur, he doesn't stay still like that dolphin stayed still for that diver.
Mm-hmm. And there's a scene at the end of the rescue where, I was there, right? I was filming. The dolphin knew the hook was out, the line was gone. You can see how the pectoral fin starts moving again. Yeah. The dolphin takes a breath, goes to the surface, takes a breath, and comes back to the divers. Even the researcher that researched dolphins for decades, even those folks said this is so unusual. So it was the whole range of research to laymen were like, what happened here? And I was in the right place at the right time. Of course, I had about 13 years of diving almost every night and had the skills to do it. And I had the awareness. This is so special. Hold your camera still and don't breathe. Because I didn't want the bubbles in the video.
It's amazing.
Hold still, and the battery is not blinking on you. And that was all my things going through your mind. But I knew it was special. And I really want to encourage listeners to watch it.
It's amazing. The other one, making use of your footage, I just want to give a shout out to, and maybe you could just tell us quickly what this is, but your Manta Ray meditations that you created. Can you tell us what those are?
Yeah, quick. It's a collaboration of a meditation teacher and myself, my footage. And it came together in 2020 when pandemic hit and we had to stay home. She's in Canada, I'm here, and we just talked. And this collaboration just produced an album of 8 tracks. Yeah. And it's maybe a morning routine or go to bed on midday. And if you sign up for it, you get 8 emails from us. It's all for free. And you can just dive into the world of manta rays. We're using my footage. I edited it all together. And you have this really smooth voice from Amanda and how she guides us through a meditation with manta ray footage. And it's really cool. And I've got a lot of feedback from people. And I just wonder, whoever cannot come to Hawaii or do the manta experience, have something at home. You can use it anytime you want. And it's a visual meditation with the manta rays.
This is so great. Martina, and there's so many more things. You've got a new podcast called the Ocean Wings Podcast. If people want to find out more about you, or come swim with manta rays, or find out about the meditations, watch the dolphin rescue video, what's the best way for people to find out more?
Yeah, best is mantarayadvocates.com. That's where you find everything. We have an extensive blog where you can learn about the tours beforehand, about the manta rays in the library. And the tour itself, you can sign up there and get on our newsletter, and I will tell you about the podcast. And it's very exciting to dive into this new media like we're podcasting today. I really appreciate you having me. because it is about the grassroots for us talking to each other and spreading the word how we can live a good life on this planet in harmony with nature and with people.
Well, thank you for the time. I just love spending time with people that are following their passion. And, that's what this whole podcast is about. It's about listening to that voice inside that calls us to adventure. And you've done that and you've made a life out of it. And the thing is that this 30-year career, your story, it's so moving from trauma to creating this incredible business. Martina, at some point, Hollywood's going to pick up on this story and they're going to want to make a movie about your life. And I want to know when they do, who's going to be the Hollywood actress that's going to play you in your movie?
Yeah, I think Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds is going to play you. I love it. Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Love it. Okay, Ryan Reynolds. That's it. What's the movie going to be called?
Follow Your Instincts, Believe Your Eyes.
Wow. Follow Your Instincts, Believe Your Eyes, starring Ryan Reynolds. Wow, what a great story. I think he would do it. I think it's going to be an Oscar winner, and I think he's going to play it great. Oh man, Martina, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for spending some time today with me and my listeners. And for those listening, I hope you've been inspired today as much as I have. I hope Martina's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or just need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside, get in the ocean. Thanks for listening. Martina, thank you so much for being here. Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you.